Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of TLDR. We have today Mordy Oberstein, the founder of Unify. Mordy, I'm pretty excited. We were chatting it up before and I said we got to kick this off. So I'd love if you introduce yourself because we're going to talk about something quite fascinating to me today.
So I'm Morty. I do brand marketing. I used to do SEO. I still kind of do SEO because my whole thing is that brand and performance should interlock and interplay. If you ever worked at a big company, those two teams never talk to each other. And I'm about like, y'all, you should talk to each other because brand should make your performance better at less cost.
Yeah,
Did I pitch myself well enough there?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Okay, good.
The Unify brand I love because, I tried to suck you into a combo on branded search since that's what we do a lot of. And you're like, hold on, like we can't just talk that, but we're going to talk about your topic of choice, how to use SEO data to diagnose brand problems, which I think is fascinating because a lot of our clients come to us and are trying to use SEO to build a brand, but they're coming from a place of no SEO knowledge. So I think tying those together makes so much sense.
It's a weird thing because SEO, first off, if you're an SEO in a company, this gives you a lot more power because now you're not just talking about keyword volume. Now you're going back to C-suite saying, hey, we have a problem. Let me show you from our data where I think we have some brand gaps.
That's right.
So that's invaluable to you.
That's right. Yeah, there was an awesome speaker at MozCon a couple years ago, Jackie Chu at Uber. And my biggest takeaway, you've seen her. I keep hyping this talk because she talked about finding your advocates internally. And this is a big one, like you said. If you could just connect your initiatives with the brand team, win.
It's amazing. We can talk about like the gaps there and the disease that causes throughout an organization for hours.
Oh, yeah. No, this is meant to be like 25 minutes, so we're in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Wait, hold on. So can you talk to me about this diagnostics? Like what are we talking about? Like where would you
Yeah.
start? Are you like, oh, I see a red flag, I'm triggered, like now we'll run this? Or is this something you do when you get a new client?
It's just a process. I mean, it could be the other, right? It could be I see something, oh, that's interesting. That's a problematic thing. But if I have a client come to me and they're asked, so one of the things I offer is a sentiment analysis. How do people think about you? I'm not just that, but also how does the market relate to you overall? I think that's an interesting thing people don't really think about. They think about, okay, what's the sentiment towards me? Which is good, but also what's the sentiment towards your vertical? Right? Minivans is a classic example. Everybody hates them. It's not you. It's not you, Chrysler.
Yeah.
Everybody hates minivans.
What's
So
the SEO data point or tool, or if I'm not asking the question in the right format, help hold my hand here. Where are we looking to see this?
there's so many. So first off, you could look at keyword research. You go into SEMrush, you type in the keyword, and you look at what are the top questions. I did this for, what the heck was this space? T-Mobile cell phone providers.
Okay.
And first off, there's two ways you can do this, or multiple ways you can do this. You can go into the branded keywords. Oh, wait, can I slow down?
Yeah.
Let me slow down.
Backtrack, and that's okay because for everyone listening, I'm learning here. So you just speak to me. I'm learning.
Okay. No, because my brain is moving so fast, my mouth can't keep up. One of the first places to go, let's just run through a workflow, is you go into, say, SEMrush or whatever tool you're using, and they break down the keywords that their site is ranking for by branded keywords and discovery keywords. And then SEOs look and says 95% brand keywords. Oh no, this sucks. I look like that. I was like, oh yes, that's awesome.
We have a brand.
We have a brand. People are looking for you. You're not chasing them down the block like you're OJ after your ex-wife.
I try to
So
tell people all of our search is brand. Like I know we're not like we don't have a ton of traffic. That's what we do for other people. Classic cobblers, children's, and all that. But
I know this problem.
all of our search is brand. What we have.
Yeah, I think that's a funny sidebar. Like it's a funny sort of way of thinking about it. Like SEO is the way they think about it. They think, oh, SEO will bring the brand, which it does happen, but it's really brand happens beyond SEO and it upgrades your SEO or up levels your SEO.
And I said all that's hyperbole. It's most of it. So yeah. Okay. So we.
So you go in, you see your branded keywords. You're focused on just your branded keywords. The first thing to do is see how not the traffic. You're gonna get hung up. Oh, they have 5 million visitors to their site a month from branded keywords. Awesome. Okay, there's two problems with that. One is the traffic could be name a brand and sucks is the keyword.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Intent matters.
Yeah. And the other problem is that it might be 2 or 3 big keywords that are driving all the traffic. Imagine you were Nike and you have an extensive product line. Okay, that means that product line is not hitting the audience. So compare this to, I don't know, to Adidas. They might have lower traffic from the branded keywords. They don't have 5 million, they have 4 million. But as opposed to having 10 branded keywords driving all the traffic, they have 150. That's a much healthier scenario. Now you're looking at something like, okay, it would dive a little bit deeper, but first glance, it seems that they're doing a good job getting their product line and their product value out there across the board. People are aware of what they actually offer, as opposed to this fictitious example of Nike, where they only know the Air Jordan and that's it. That's a
Gotcha.
brand problem.
This other brand problem you highlighted in a video you had sent, and you were saying Adidas has a brand problem. I know you were just
Yeah.
making up a scenario, but you were giving a live example in this video breaking down. It seemed like Adidas was struggling to pick up search that wasn't tied to comparing it to Nike. And you were saying,
So yeah, Adidas did a weird thing, in my opinion. I was just watching another ad from another company last night. Oh man, I can't remember who it was. I'm like, oh, that's what they should have done. If you're not familiar, Nike has a huge problem. Nike invested a ton in SEO around the pandemic. They went digital
okay,
and they saw a huge uplift, obviously, because there was a pandemic. They thought this is going to stay forever. Let's continue with going B2C on digital, SEO, whatever, paid ad, whatever it is. That didn't actually happen because only freaks like me buy shoes online. Most people, all the things they're going to buy online, I'm going to go to the store and try the shoe on. On is a funny word because when Nike did this and pulled back, it left shelf space, literally shelf space at Foot Locker for Hoka and On. So Nike let their competitor into the door. Then Nike said, as their stock lost 25% of its value, let's refocus on brand, which is odd. In general, most brands would never function that way. So going back to our earlier point, because performance and brand, they don't sync up, what will usually happen in an organization is a CMO, the VP, whatever is going to say, oh, we lost SEO traffic, SEO team was going on, or we lost social traffic or social clicks. Like, what's going on, social team? And I was talking about this with Kevin Indig. You never step back and realize the brand efficacy has fallen off a cliff. And the reason why none of these channels are performing the way that you once thought they would or they once did is because of the overall brand efficacy. So fixing the SEO is not going to help. Social, we're doing nothing different. People they don't like us as much. How do you fix that? So what inevitably happens is, and this happened with Nike, they saw that the performance was going down, but unlike other companies, because Nike has such a strong roots in brand, they went back to brand.
yeah,
But they
this
went
was
back.
the catalyst then for they recently switched their advertising, kind of going
Yes.
back to, well, I'm stealing your word roots, but they actually went back to the more hardcore do
Yeah.
it line, not just
Yeah.
try kind of thing.
Yeah. This is Nike trying to go back. But the problem is they're going back and they're out of touch. A lot of their campaigns, there's one during the Olympics, which I really hated. I like the Olympics. It feels the world's uniting. It's all those good, warm feeling stuff. I like that. I'm a sucker for it. I know it's all fake, but I'm a sucker for it. And Nike did an ad with William Dafoe. In case you don't know, that's like the bad guy's voice from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
If I was in a dark alley with William Dafoe, I'd fear for my life. He's just creepy. He's probably a really nice dude in real life, but he creeps the hell out of me. And it was all an ad about LeBron James and this one and that one. They have no mercy. And that doesn't make them a bad person. That makes them a winner. I'm like, that's the Olympic spirit right there.
You just feel like it was
It was
mistimed.
it was mistimed. It was out of touch. It was only focusing like on their very, very core audience. Like, I use Nike. I'm not super competitive. I'm like, I see you on the ground, I will step on you. And then turn around and spit on you and win. That's a very select few people who are so competitive like that. So you're not talking to your main base, who you haven't been talking to in a long time. So then they switched to, and they went an ad about women and basketball and blah, 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 but it came off as artificial and fake. I know what you're doing there. It's just
Where
one problem after another problem for them.
what you made me think as you're giving these examples, we're going outside of Google now. What are you looking at? TikTok search? Are you looking at Reddit search? Are you looking at like where are you looking to see the sentiment?
I'm looking at everything, but I really do start off with the SEO data
Okay.
because it's the easiest to run through. It's the easiest to see, and it points you in different directions. So for example, in the case of Adidas, I was looking at people also asked. I always do that. And
Yeah.
also asked, which
Yeah.
minds people also ask. It's a great tool because you're getting access to hundreds of questions that people are asking about the product or the brand. And what happened was I saw Adidas running a commercial. I'm like, oh, I know what's going on here. They realize they smell blood on the water. They realize Nike has lost its edge. They're going to come in and be the new Nike. And they did ads that felt very similar to what Nike may would have done 10 years ago. And I'm like, that's a problem to me. That's a flag. You don't want to be the new Nike. You just want to be Adidas.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to be Nike, all you're doing is letting your competitor into the door without realizing it. Because the user has now associations to Nike, like I did. Oh, that seems like Nike. Why do you want me to look at your ad and feel like, oh, that feels like Nike? You don't want Nike to be buzzing around my head at all. You should do you. So then I went to the tools. I'm like, okay, maybe that's just me. So then I went to the tools, and you start seeing, like, in people, and also asked, a lot of the questions are comparison questions between Adidas and Nike. Which is better, Adidas and Nike, Adidas and Nike, Adidas and Nike? And when you go to the other brands, obviously you have some of that because that's just the normal thing to do, Hoka and all, but it's not to that extent. Like, those other brands seem to have more of a self-identity that's not related to the comparison. Whereas Adidas, a big part of who they are is the comparison. Now, if I'm seeing that and they also asked, and now I'm going to make a commercial, I would tell the commercial people, hey, wait a second, let's make sure we do something that distances ourselves from Nike and does something a little bit new. We have a sentiment problem.
Interesting. So like stand against is a classic marketing tactic, but you're saying if all we're seeing here is stand against, like this is a very large issue we need to address. I think stand against is like, it's good for a one-off, but you don't want to
Yeah.
wrap your whole identity in it.
No, you can't have your whole identity in that, because that isn't real identity. And at the same time, you have to be careful, because if you're building, brand is very associative. Right? The classic cases would be Michael Jordan. You
Yeah.
thought Michael Jordan is a winner. He's wearing Nikes. Nike
Yeah.
is a winner. I mean, I'm way oversimplifying this because they actually both started off at the same place and they both built up each other, which is why it worked. Let's just go with that for a second. So brand is super associative. So if what you're doing is bringing up associations to a brand on the decline that people don't like anymore, you always want to shoot. If you're going to do that, I feel you always want to shoot up. Right? I don't know. I'm Mitsubishi, and I want you to think that we're like Maserati. If I'm Mitsubishi, I don't want you to think that we're like the Trabant, which is a old school reference to like communist Russia cars that didn't work.
You're making me think we got to get rid of the SEO here, because Google is sentiment towards Google has been rough.
They're the worst.
Yeah,
they're the worst. It's a real thing, and they're just the worst at it.
Yeah, they don't do great on PR. It keeps people guessing though. Keeps people on their toes. They're like, what is your monetization strategy? Because it seems like you don't care about very many of us. So
I don't know, but their stock price keeps going down, so nothing is working.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like if I was working with them, which I'm not, I would be worried that they're going to hit a certain level of toxicity at a certain point, and that's a mess to fix. Let me tell you, coming from Wix, how much of a mess that is to fix.
So that's where I started to interrupt you earlier. I know we're supposed to focus on the diagnostics, and I feel like I can get away with this because we've been at it 15 minutes and maybe we're kind of playing into the back end here. Okay, you obviously have your own process. If we get these diagnostics together, we assess we've got an issue. Where do you start to go here? I mean, you mentioned in the case of we've got commercial budget, we talked to them, but is there a starting place here? I mean, case by case?
Yes, it's totally case by case, because the problem with these things is no one does a diagnostics. No one goes in and diagnoses what's the problem. But we have a problem, okay, but what's the problem? And the second you diagnose it, you'll have a pathway should emerge. I'll give you the case just at Wix. So everyone, if you don't know, everyone used to hate Wix for SEO. I came in and started to fix that. And my diagnostic was, you're toxic. You're not like you have a bad, you're just toxic. You're like, I don't know.
When did you do that? Because I absolutely felt that. It was very prevalent, I want to say 4 years ago.
5 years ago.
And
yeah,
then
5 years ago.
last 3 years, I haven't heard anyone ever say anything. So it's like an online reputation management.
Yeah, it was shifting the brand. So I used to work for Rank Ranger, which was one of the rank tracking platforms. They got bought out by SimilarWeb. I'm not good with times. Like 2 years, 3 years ago? I don't know. And a client of ours went to Wix to help work on their product, the SEO product. And he recruited me to come in and work on the brand side of things. And they wanted to do also, I'm like, stop. Like the diagnosis is you're toxic. You can't do any of these things. And if the reason why you're toxic, right? So you have to go into the reason behind it. The reason why you're toxic is because it comes off like you're just trying to manipulate audiences, which was like a comedy of errors. They ran a Super Bowl ad. They had $7 million, a 30-second spot. They mentioned SEO like in like 0.3 of a second. And of course, they mentioned it the wrong way because that's what's going to happen when you take a nuanced topic and try to have a supermodel talk about it in 0.3 seconds to a DIY audience who doesn't understand SEO.
Yeah.
To get out of the problem, Wix says, okay, like we're a big market. Let's market our way out of the problem, which is a very common way of people trying to get out of a problem if you have a giant ass marketing team. So I don't know if you remember this. They ran a campaign. It was Lucas Zelezny versus Marie Haynes. Who can rank a Wix website the fastest gets $10,000.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. It's very cool. Good idea. Until John Mueller came out and said, we don't rank websites for competitions. We rank websites to help people find information.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Like, uh-oh, that's not good.
They got the big dog involved. All right.
They pissed John off. And I said, you have to just stop. And if you're toxic and people don't trust you and think that you're just trying to pull the wool over their eyes, you have to, the obvious answer is be upfront and honest, and which is uncomfortable to the point where it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. I used to go around Twitter, tell me your problems. I'll bring them to the team. I mean, I even stole the name liaison. I was like, the SEO liaison from Danny Sullivan.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be an advocate promoting Wix. I wanted to be a liaison helping the SEO community tie into the Wix community so they can fix this thing.
Fascinating. Yeah, because I was looking at your history and I was like, what does this mean? All right. All right. Yeah, very cool. So that's how you troubleshot that one. Okay. And a case by case, like you said. So
yeah, case by case. Once you diagnose, it's like in the case of Adidas, now that you have the diagnosis, okay, we need to double down on building up our own identity as being a little bit different and unique and its own thing.
Mordy, I'd love to spend the last few minutes on every interview with the same question, because in this case, I'm excited because I came in as a complete 101. I feel like you got a little deeper with us too, so thank you. But I want to ask you, what did I not ask that you're like, I don't understand. Why didn't we get into that? We got to cover this real quick before we get out of here.
I guess it's like the LLM thing. How does tracking LLMs factor into brand?
Yeah, I'd love to. I find really cool. I've been pressing. There's people who are like, I know what's up. And I'm like, well, if you would just talk to us because no one is talking right now, which I'm like, I think I'm giving you a chance here. It's not just bluff, but there are some people making progress. And so what are you doing, and what could someone listening do?
So LLMs, I think, are a great way to understand like how people are thinking about a brand. Just going on the idea that an LLM is summarizing the web, which is summarizing what a bunch of people are saying. Obviously, you need to go a little bit deeper, but it could be almost like an agent or a rep of what people think and what people are, how are they relating to a brand. So SEMrush has this tool. I'm like, you don't even ask me to plug this. I will just plug this thing for you because it's so good.
No, it looks cool.
It's so cool. It's called AI Analytics. I don't know if it's available yet for everybody, but because I used to work there and consult for them, I get like early access. But if it makes you feel better, I don't get a lot of access. I have to keep asking for more.
I got to do that. We did a campaign for them. We're hoping to do another. I got to start.
Yeah, there you go. Please. There you go. Yeah, I'm not bashful anymore. I'm like, hey, I need access to this.
Yeah.
So what it does is it basically aggregates the information that they're seeing in different LLMs. So you can look at ChatGPT, SearchGPT, Perplexity, whatever it is. So like I'm right now, I was doing something about FanDuel versus DraftKings, because DraftKings, I think, has a huge amount of sentiment issues. And what it'll do is it'll show you like the market share in the LLM, in this case, ChatGPT. So if FanDuel has 23%, overall sentiment is 83% versus DraftKings, which is 74%. So, okay, red flag right there. Why is DraftKings sentiment so much lower than FanDuel, their main competitor? And then you can go through and start seeing things like areas for improvement. Like what's coming back from the web in the LLM that's negative, like actual things. So for FanDuel, like your typical things like limited in certain states, gambling addiction, blah, blah, blah. For DraftKings, there was stuff about the actual platform. Like there's inconsistent betting odds. That's another flag. Okay, there's a product problem. Once you have a product problem that's pervasive like that, now like that will generally cause a brand problem. I don't trust your product. I don't trust you. this would mean exploring a little bit more. And you can explore more in the tool itself, but in this case, I kind of just went to some of the keywords inside of SEMrush to see like what questions people are asking, and then it went to also ask, and then also ask, it just verified everything.
Yeah.
It was
So what we're talking about
bonkers.
here is, in this particular instance, let's say it came from chat, right? Chat GPT.
Yeah.
There's enough content out there on the net of people saying what the F is wrong with the odds on FanDuel. We're not talking about arbitrage across platforms, like native
Right.
within that one
Yeah.
platform. The bets are
Yes.
off. It doesn't make any sense. And this is a classic problem gambling platforms have because they have tens of thousands of bets every day. It's really hard to manage all that, but
It's very hard.
nonetheless, that's perception. That's a brand issue they have.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have it for like, again, like when you run it across the different LLMs, you start seeing patterns like I'm looking at Perplexity and it says, ooh, less favorable odds compared to some competitors. So there's
Wow.
another one.
So they know, again, it's not so much about Perplexity itself. What it's saying is there's enough people out there on the internet saying this about your brand.
Perplexity is picking that up.
Wow,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. See, people, you can use LLMs in SEO, in
Good.
marketing, but honestly, Morty, to date, you're the first person who's laid out something concrete. This is how I'd use it that has made sense to me. So thank you for that.
Sweet. Yeah. Anytime.
Awesome. Look, I really enjoyed this chat. I think we need to give your site a shout out. Anywhere else that comes to mind, can you tell people where to find you?
LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Probably the best place.
Mordy
Traffic
Oberstein,
think tank. You're in
Traffic
there.
Think Tank. That's right. We have some fun in there. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get in there.
Very cool, Morty. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I'd love to do this again sometime.
Anytime. It was great.